Good evening. Welcome to my very first live stream YouTube video of a YouTube live stream. I'm not very familiar with all this technical stuff, so you have to bear with me in any case. Let me just make a few quick announcements. Sessions are available through September 2020 to the end of the year. And autographed books are available on the website. And you can also follow me on georgeanderson.com, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Threads at George Anderson Medium. One question per person, please. General questions only. There will be no personal messages and no questions about specific individuals. I'm not working that routine tonight. That's something that finished up during this week. It is at this time of my life I am glad to see that the ability is very helpful to so many people, that it does provide comfort and reassurance, not only for them, but also for individuals from the hereafter as well, in the world unseen. And that's the thing I try to impress on people when they ask me, where is it? It's here. It's just that it's the world unseen. It's unseen by us because we're in the physical state of existence, and they're in the soul or spiritual state of existence. But they're in a very lovely place from what I have been able to discern. And there's different levels of spiritual growth over there, or arrival. The souls have told me, when Christ says, in my Father's house there are many mansions, he's not referring to Gone with the Wind mansions. He's referring to the levels, the planes that you can grow to according to your spiritual development. There are approximately 10, as far as I know, as of now. The two lower levels, the first two, are not really very pleasant for people to have to go to. So you don't want to send yourself there by being I don't even like the word to use, sinful, but being just a cruel individual, because you end up going to those lower levels, which are not fire and brimstone, but they are cold and damp and dreary, and you're surrounded by people who are the same just as you've been. And this is where people can think they're demonic looking, because their unkindness when they were here on the earth has made them ugly. It's much like, I think, sometimes when the Good Witch of the North in the movie The Wizard of Oz says only bad witches are ugly. So bad people turn themselves into an ugly state of existence, but you're not condemned there forever. The Creator never gives up on you, even if you've given up on yourself. But it still is your job to work your way out of those levels. You can maybe call it purgatory if you like, but work your way up into the perpetual light, the endless light. And this is where people and our pets, loved ones of that nature are there waiting for us to cross over. I always say, I hope when my time comes, I just drop dead and my kitty cats come to welcome me over. And I'm sure I'll be very happy with that greeting. So do the best you can in this dimension to be a person of kindness, compassion, and gentleness so that you can let me just take those off. I had them on. Excuse me, it's allergy season. We can tell we're getting close to spring. I just had them on momentarily because usually without them I can't. I'm as blind as a bat. But I can't read it. Oh, please type your questions whenever you'd like to, and we'll begin immediately. I'll have the questions read to me, and I'll give you the best answer I can. I don't know everything. I'm still learning and growing myself. But I always enjoy when souls come through from the hereafter with the similar personality that they were here. Some of them are rather comical. Um, and but those are usually the souls that are in a good and happy place. People from the lower levels, the souls from the lower levels may be permitted to come forward, but only if they're seeking to redeem themselves. If not allowed to come through to do any harm to me or anybody else, and I've never had that problem. I had an individual come through this week in private discernment, and he had said that he was still in the lower levels, but was making progress to work his way out, but was allowed to come through for the purpose of redeeming himself. And with that, I think he said he was in the second level. So he is making progress, working his way up, and hopefully will eventually be able to redeem himself. Now, whilst you're in the lower levels, souls can come to you to help yourself, but ultimately it's all up to you. And many angelic beings, many saints who still believe wholeheartedly in bringing glory to the Creator, they usually will make that journey down there to try to help lost souls. Sometimes some souls aren't interested. They don't feel like moving. I've had a few souls state they do not feel like getting out of the lower levels as of now. But people in our history, many of them have been there for centuries from being such SOBs when they were here on the earth. And I hope for all of them that someday they will, which they will eventually, find their way out and take part into the endless light, which is the essence of the Creator. Is there any questions as of yet?
What's the medal that you're wearing today?
I wore St. Barbara today. St. Barbara shows up in many of my discernments, and she especially, it can be a clue for the name, but it also can be a sign for me that somebody's feeling like a rock in a hard place, or struggling here, feeling like they don't know which way to turn. And St. Barbara always comes through with consolation and compassion and offers her heavenly assistance, but you have to ask her. And of course, she doesn't wave a magic wand over there. It still is nice to know that you have someone who would be interested in your concerns here. So I usually will recommend people to maybe start a devotion with her without being endorsing of any particular type of religion, so to speak. I mean, I'm a traditional Catholic. That's what works for me, but not everybody is. And sadly, we all have to find it for ourselves. We all have to learn it for ourselves. We all have to grow for ourselves. Everything, I think people overlook so many times that everything is up to us here and there to do the best we can and work our way up. Many people think that, if they pray to a particular saint or loved one, that they can do it for them, and they can't, because it's your spiritual growth, it's your spiritual experience that you're working through.
Will we still be ourselves after we transition to the other side?
Well, I'll have to say yes to that, because so many people that have come through from the hereafter, from the world unseen, the people, their loved ones here, will often comment that sounds just like him or her. They're just like that. Some of them have come through and apologized for being a pain in the you know what when they were on the earth, and or for being a lady dog, so to speak. But again, they do come through as themselves, but hopefully much improved when they get there, because they have told me that the name of the game over there is the rule of the seven fruits of the Holy Ghost. And that is, if you ever read them online or such, that's the highest and best virtues you are surrounded with there. And that's why I think it is very uplifting for me as the instrument, because I can not feel my best, like I really don't feel like working. And yet, once I begin, I feel filled with the Holy Ghost, or at least the energy of the Holy Ghost from that dimension, from the world unseen. So it is certainly a place to look into. We should never fear death. There's nothing to be afraid of, just afraid of being afraid. You should never let fear run that, because most of the souls have said most people are not afraid of the actual transition. They're afraid of what will lead up to it. But everything is already, the stage is set. We just have to fulfill the role. And that's what they hope we can do to the best of our ability.
Do you believe in soulmates?
Yes, as I do. As a matter of fact, you can have more than one soulmate. A soulmate can be a family member, a soulmate can be a close friend, a pet can be a soulmate. Um, Pardon me again, allergies are driving me out of my mind. What a time to start annoying me. And it's very damp up here today, too. We're not having the most lovely of days. But yes, soulmates for sure. Soulmate can be your husband, your wife, a youngster, your child, a parent. We can have more than one soulmate.
Does the other side give you any thoughts for the future of the world?
Well, I've had a soul come through this week who wasn't sounding too positive of this year and coming up ahead. But I very rarely get, you know, warnings of any kind, because the purpose of the ability and for me to discern is to bring comfort and peace and joyfulness to the loved ones who remain here and from their loved ones over there. That's why so many different souls um, will comment on. Many of them lately have been telling me they're actually glad they're not here any longer, because they feel so bad for us that we have to deal with all the bull that's going on as of now. And I would agree with them for sure.
But you do sometimes get hints about the future, like before COVID.
Yes, I usually do. I not really eager to receive any type of negative information, but they do um, advise me, to advise people to be cautious and such. But if things are, I'm at the point really of thinking if things are going to happen, they're going to happen. And there's nothing really we can do about it except our best to endure and survive and have our faith in the Creator and just keep moving ahead.
Do you think extraterrestrials are demons?
I really don't know how to answer that. I've never had an encounter with an extraterrestrial, but they just could be individuals from other worlds. I don't believe we're the only existence on this planet, in the galaxy, that there are others. And just really, I go by what many people that have had experience with them talk about. But myself, I could not really give them a understanding of, um, are they on what their mission or goal is. I just don't know.
How might someone sort of reach out to or seek out their guardian angel to ask for protection and guidance to be a better person?
Well, you just basically, everybody has a guardian angel. You just have to ask. Um, when I was in Catholic school, before any of these horrid changes came through, we had a prayer to our guardian angel, which we were encouraged to say on a daily basis. So basically, you would just have to invoke your guardian angel who is with you at all times and ask them to help yourself. But keep in mind, they don't wave magic wands. They can help you to help yourself, but ultimately it's up to you, because they can love you, protect you, and assist you as much as they can, but they cannot interfere on your spiritual journey.
Are the departed souls ever angry about the circumstances of their death?
Um, Not really angry. Maybe some of them have told me that when they initially got to the world unseen and realized that they were dead, first because they looked back and saw they were out of the physical body. They're not angry, but I have had some of them say they wanted to file a complaint with the management because they didn't think they were supposed to be there, and issues such as that. But you don't get there until you're supposed to be there. And once you get there and adapt, I think you'll be like they are. They'll very much change their mind. They may have some anger issues with individuals, but they we hope that they can, work that out most definitely.
When someone departs this earth tragically, does their soul transition or does their soul stay wandering here?
Good question. I'm not sure. There are souls that still could be wandering here because they can be afraid to go into the light, or don't feel a sense of comfort with that, particularly because they might not have been a nice individual here. So, but most souls are eager to go into the perpetual light because it's a place of love and peace and joyfulness. And who doesn't want to be um, who doesn't want to not see their loved ones again and their precious pets as well?
Do the souls come to us at a certain time of day or night?
Well, see, the thing is, as I said earlier, the two worlds run parallel. They're here or with you now, but they're only in the world unseen. Um, I think they tried their best not to make it seem as though it's a spooky experience. It's a comforting experience. And so, yes, you can feel a loved one during the day and during the night. They certainly do come close to us if they know we're going through any type of time or struggle, to be comforting in whatever way they can without interfering. They don't lead us around by the nose. Nobody over there tells you what to do. And who wants to be led around by the nose? I'm sure you wouldn't like it here, so you wouldn't like it there. But they do encourage us to always do the very best that we can, to pray, have faith, devotion, kindness, and compassion, all those seven fruits of the Holy Ghost. Absorb them into your life because they're very joyful and pleasant.
Are people happy in the spirit world? Are there different levels of happiness? And can you be sad in the hereafter?
I wouldn't say they're sad. Many times they may be feel sorry for us because they know that we're having the more difficult struggle here dealing with their loss. That can be particularly um, parents who have lost children, sadly, which of course is, we're not brought up that that's the norm. And also young individuals who have lost a sibling will also feel that loss as well. But that's why I always encourage people, pray for them and know that they're with you and you will be reunited again someday.
How are victims of suicide treated in the hereafter?
Well, from what I've learned, one thing, victims of suicide, we have to take into consideration a very compassionate heart, because they're probably not in the right frame of mind. Depression and anxiety, anxieties and depressions, yes, they are illnesses and they can be overwhelming to live with, but we try our best to be steadfast and keep going forward. So when the loved one comes over into the world unseen, they may come to a realization that what they did wasn't the smartest avenue to take, but they also realize that they're not in the right frame of mind and in many ways cannot be held responsible for their actions. It's always very discouraged from the souls in the hereafter to take your own life without consideration, because not only does it affect you, but it certainly affects those you love left behind. So you want to really think about it. I think the best thing to do is always take advantage of the suicide hotline or seek some sort of professional help. Don't suffer in silence and don't suffer, but recognize that your depressions and anxiety are illnesses. And but like all illnesses, they can be helped or cured. You just have to put the effort into it and work as best as you can.
Are any of the souls telling you about the new earth and the transformation we are currently going through?
I've heard souls speak of, things here on the earth changing up ahead. Um, Definitely due to climate change and natural disasters, things of that nature. But we can't live in fear that it could happen to us or affect us. It could, it may not. But the thing is that no matter what, they always encourage us to move forward, be the best individual you can be. And that doesn't mean you have to be a doormat for anybody, but definitely be as spiritual as you can be and put your faith in the Creator and in the souls in the hereafter that are certainly in a happy place, and look forward to the day that they welcome you into that happy place.
Who is the oldest soul you've encountered?
Oh, I'd have to think about that. I think different souls have come through um, that might have been a very older or distant relative of a loved one. But again, you would have to know about them or know of them, because if you had um, an ancestor that was somebody you didn't know, if that individual comes through with the name, you're going to say no to me because you don't know who they are. In my own family, I have had um, my great uncle come through who had gone down. He didn't go down with the Titanic, but was because when I found out about him, I gave him a challenge because as a man, how could he have survived it? But he was one of the oarsmen assigned to Lifeboat 3. So it was his duty to steer the lifeboat away from the tragedy. I think he's one of the older members of my family I came to learn about, because I never heard anybody in the family talk about him, but they probably didn't know about him because he ended up going back to Cardiff, Wales, and then was eventually put into an institution, probably, no doubt, a victim of what they call PTSD.
Do our loved ones let us know that our time might be coming to an end?
Yes, I have had some people talk about that, and it's actually, I would think, a nice experience. I have a friend whose mother had a very clear dream that her biological mother, the aunt who had raised her, and her sister who had passed on came to her in the height of an illness she was struggling with and said to her, "We're going to be coming for you soon. Don't be afraid." And it turned out she passed on in her sleep the following month.
What happens if your pet, who is your soulmate, passes away?
Well, the animal is there. Keep in mind, over there, there's no conception of time as we have it here. And when I was speaking before about the lower levels, some individuals have been there for centuries as we would see it. But the pets have no fear over there. And I like the fact that when you're reunited with them, that they can go anywhere there and they don't have to worry about someone being cruel to them or unkind in any way. But usually they'll be very playful with other species, other animals, in patience, waiting for you to arrive.
What about the advice or guidance from the hereafter in a private session?
Well, they may give you their compassionate advice, but they don't tell you what to do. I always tell people, if you're coming for a discernment, don't don't think that, don't have any preconceived expectations. It doesn't work the way I think it should, and that annoys the you know what out of me, and it won't work the way you think it should. However, it works the way it's supposed to work, and the loved ones will come forward and make their presence known and declare what they want to impress upon me, not what you would want them to impress upon you. So the thing is, you have to really, as the souls in the hereafter say, refuse nothing, ask for nothing. And that's really the name of the game over there, too. Don't expect them to come through and work out your problems for you or your upsets. They may make a suggestion. I've had souls come through where St. Barbara appears, and then I know there's somebody having that feeling of being a rock in a hard place, and it usually turns out to be correct. But they've had fallings out with family members here where they're on very difficult terms. And this one young lady that had come to me, her father came through and told me to tell her what was happening. And he did advise her to throw in the towel, that it was never going to change. And even if it did change, it would never be the same as it might have been beforehand. And that's where St. Barbara impressed upon me that this individual getting the discernment was going through a time of feeling like stuck or a prisoner almost, that she had tried several times to work the situation out. And every time she does, she feels as though she gets a kick in the pants. So I think her father was smart to come through and say, throw in the towel, be at peace with yourself, and realize it's never going to go back to the way you would like it.
Have you ever had a belligerent soul come through?
Trying to think. I did have one man come through one time to his wife here on the earth who did say she should be very glad that he passed away, because if he hadn't, she might have been afraid of him ending up murdering her. So I would say he was belligerent, but at least knew it was best to withdraw from this dimension. There are people over there who still have some anger issues, or are still ticked off with experiences here or people here. But we hope and pray that they grow out of that state of mind.
Is there a time of year that the souls make themselves known more than any other time of year?
I have been told that at Christmas time, or during the festive seasons, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate, that the veil between here and the world unseen is very thin. So they will make their presence known more profoundly, but it all depends on what we're able to receive and what we are hearing from them. I tell people that certainly don't hesitate to talk aloud to them, maybe not in the middle of, a store, but definitely on the home front. Talk to them, because they acknowledge that they're very pleased that the loved one here does that, because then it confirms for the soul in the hereafter that the loved one here recognizes that they're near.
Do loved ones who've passed on see us all the time? Can they send signs to us after their passing?
I do believe they can send signs. Um, some things can be very different, some things can be very profound. Many times they send what I've been told is the odor of sanctity, where you will smell maybe the scent of a perfume they used to use, or cologne of some sort. So they give us signs when they can, but don't look for them. Let them happen when they decide that they're going to happen.
What about regrets of not healing relationships before a soul passes?
Well, I think I'm a little guilty of that I have not regrets. There's definitely individuals that have passed on that weren't very nice to me when they were here. And I'll be honest with you, it's wrong, but I haven't forgiven them, or at least I'm not ready to. Um, I had a soul who came to me one night when I was getting ready for bed, and I had her as a teacher when I was in Catholic school. And she most definitely, in my opinion, when I think back and as an adult, was psychotic. And I felt her presence because she used to use me as her personal punching bag. And she was looking for forgiveness. And I just flat out said, "You're not getting my forgiveness here or there. I'm not about to forgive you. So do yourself and me a favor and go back to the lower levels where you belong."
Do pets come through during your readings, and how do they communicate with you?
They do come through. Many of them are joyfully they don't speak English, but through their feelings they communicate, or somebody will speak on their behalf. Many individuals that have gone over have said that animals came to them first, which is very comforting and loving, very reassuring. They're very therapeutic. So, yes, they have come through. Sometimes I've noticed that they have come through and someone has said their name, but I don't know if they're talking about an individual or the pet, because the pet has what we consider a human name. And like my cats, for example, my two boys, as I call them, the two brothers from the same litter that I adopted, their names are Constantine and Nikolai. So if that name comes through and someone would to say that to me, I would know who they are. But all my other cats that have passed have basically been Chloe or some other, name, Hermie. So many times you don't know if it's a person or a pet unless it's explained to. But your loved ones or the pets do come assuming you know what they're talking about. So they may not spell it all out for me at times. They just may say, so and so is here, and I'll bring that up, and I hope that the subject understands, and most of the time they do. There can also be times where, I will be honest with you, I very rarely get last names, but they can show me something that may relate to it. If the last name is common, like Smith or Anderson, I may get that. But some souls will come through, and this happened this week. They showed me a scene out of an old movie entitled The Heiress with Olivia de Havilland, which she won an Oscar for. And I brought that up to the couple, and I said, do you understand it? Because I don't understand why I'm seeing it. It must be something to do with the name, either first or last, but I don't know. And they said, no, they didn't. I said, well, they're going to assign you some homework. It's out on DVD. Maybe go home and look for it on YouTube to see if it's available and watch it. Maybe then you will recognize what was being shown to me that I did not recognize.
When a soul visits a person in their dream, do you believe it's the actual loved one or is it just a dream?
I believe that our loved ones do come to us in dreams, and I do believe it's probably a visitation from that loved one. Um, they usually state that, um, but know the difference. If and as long as the dream is a comforting, loving experience, accept that as an actual visitation. If it's anything that distresses you, confuses you, or upsets you, just write that off as a dream. Because remember, that thing can play tricks on us in our sleep.
Who would you say is the feistiest saint that's come through during a session?
There's a few. I have to think about it. St. Camillus, when he was on the earth, I believe he used to like to pick fights before he became a renowned religious. But he'll come through. I remember one time I made a misjudgment on somebody who had come for a session, and St. Camillus paid me a visit and said, how do you like it when the Creator shoves humility up your you know what? So he was a little on the feisty side. The saints were normal people who did extraordinary things. Yes, there were ones who had tempers. Yes, there were ones who had the behavior of a lady dog. Yes, there were ones that weren't the most pleasant, even when they were here. But, they have certainly risen to the joyfulness of the Creator and done their best to be as loving toward the glory of the Creator and to us here as well.
Can we go on fun adventures after we transition?
I believe we can because we're not limited by time or space. And usually, if we want or desire a loved one to be near to us, we just have to invoke them or think about them. And because they're not limited by time or space, they can come very close to us instantaneously. They usually come to us very closely if we're going through any type of struggle or unpleasantness. But we can be so wrapped up in that struggle, we may not realize that they're there. So that's why I tell people that they're with you no matter what.
Is it possible to receive messages from the departed with a message for our own lives?
For our own lives, um, yes, that has happened if they feel it's necessary. Well, look at the man I spoke about a few moments ago, the young woman's father who came through and told her to throw in the towel with trying to harmonize the situation with, I think it was a sibling. And they will come through and say, okay, I'm disappointed in the sibling's behavior, but they can't force them to do what they would like. They have to find it for themselves. But they do um, come through at least to tell the individual, to tell his other daughter that she hadn't failed or made a mistake because she can't seem to harmonize it. And he's basically being very comforting to her and helping her to understand, to accept the peace that this is the way it is. And maybe some other time it'll be worked out. If not here, hereafter. Because it's true, once a close relationship is damaged, unless it's really special on your part, I sometimes wonder if it ever goes back to the way it had been.
Before a scheduled private session, can you hold a specific question in mind leading up and a possibility for an answer?
Maybe, but again, as I said earlier, do not come with any preconceived expectations. The souls in the hereafter do not consider this to be a parlor trick. They certainly can address the issue, but naturally, it's up to you to also have your listening ears on. You may not understand that they're addressing it because they're not doing it the way you think they should. So, but yes, they have tried to help you as an individual, to help yourself. But I always tell people, don't come expecting my grandmother's going to come through and give me her recipe for matzo ball soup. It won't happen. And why would it happen? I think she would have more impressive things to reach out to you with. So if you come with a preconceived expectation, I would say not a good idea. Just let them do their thing. Just have your listening ears on and be alert and listen carefully to what they say. And I always advise people to record the session, leave it alone for a few days, and then revisit it again. Because when you are in the moment of a session, it can be very joyful, but your head can be thinking 500 different things at the same time. People can come through that you don't remember their name or such, and then find out later on. But it all depends. That's why I say don't come with and I even caution you before I start the discerning. Do not have any preconceived expectations or thoughts of what you think they're going to do. So if people have come and said, they show you, because I don't allow people to talk. First of all, if you do go to see someone who claims to do what I'm doing, if the first thing they ask you is who do you want to hear from, get up and walk out. That should not be the case. I have to start off, feel a male or female presence come through. Excuse me, and then it builds up. But if you come with a specific thing you hope they're going to say or address, that's not smart. Don't do it, because you could be making your own discernment with them a disaster area. Yes, we supposedly, it just seems more logical to me that we've been here more than once. Some souls over there have certainly said at this time, well, of course, there's no conception of time there. So 50 years can seem like a fleeting moment. But I always want people to understand that your loved one won't reincarnate until the group is back together again. So you don't have to worry about going over there and some souls saying, oh, you just missed him, he just reincarnated. It doesn't happen that way. If they do, they may reincarnate before your arrival in another life for growth, but it's completely up to us. I'm not too thrilled about wanting to come back here after I pass on, but they say sometimes you get tempted to because people you love or pets that you love come back and you desire to be with them again. And this is the place, our physical dimension is the place of spiritual growth, because you can grow spiritually over there, but it takes longer because it's an A+ existence. It's lovely, it's charming, and it's very joyful. Here we go through episodes, struggles, and ordeals, and how we come out of them is much how we grow. So some souls will say, well, it'll take me in Earth years, 30 years over there to work it out. Where if I come here and I work it out, I can possibly do it in 5 years. You'll take the shortcut. So that will happen.
Can you explain more, give some more advice on growing spiritually?
I think it's all up to us. Faith, prayer, the rosary, doing kindnesses, being as gentle, compassionate, and loving soul as you can be. But that may not be for everyone, that they may not know how to find their way. but just put your faith in yourself and the knowing that you can achieve anything if you put your mind to it.
Are dream visitations frequent from your perspective?
Are dream visitations frequent? I have to say, I really don't know because not everybody remembers their dreams. And a loved one could be coming every night. And once you wake up, you don't remember, or you don't remember the visitation at all. It's when it's clear and comforting and remembered. That is an actual visitation. But you may say, well, Joe Blow doesn't come to me in dreams, but Joe Blow may. You just don't remember because once you wake, I've had vivid dreams, but yet the minute I wake up, bingo, they're gone with the wind.
And what about looking out for signs from your loved ones?
You can, but don't go crazy about it because they do things when they choose to, not when we choose to. They're they're not at our beck and call. So you can ask them. I've done that, and then they usually give me months later it can happen. They'll give me a sign exactly as they had spoken about, but it takes me a few minutes to remember that that's what they said they would speak to me about. For more videos like these, please subscribe to the channel. I'll be very happy with that. Sessions are available through the end of this year. Autographed books are on the website. Just cough up the cash and we'll be happy to send it to you. The only thing is, they do go out media mail because there's so many of them, and that comes out of my pocket. And so just don't expect that you're going to get it in overnight unless you pay for that, because media mail's fine. You'll get it eventually for sure. Keep abreast of georgeanderson.com, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Threads at George Anderson Medium. And other than that, I get the idea that this is rounding up and coming to an end. So it's been a pleasure being with all of you. And I wish you all the best. And may God bless you and your loved ones and your pets, both here and hereafter, until you all meet again. Take care.